Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Thank you for your support. Enjoy the video. Hey there, Rulers, DMO73 here, bringing you the second deck profile for today, and we have the Ares Brunhild list that was designed by Josh and ran this past Wednesday. So this list is kind of the newest take on the white weenies kind of style. It's designed to go really wide with cheap guys really fast, and then kind of buff them up. And kind of keep that pressure mounting. It did get some really interesting tech cards, I think that really helped the deck a lot, specifically Ares and Volley, and we'll talk about why I think those cards are so important for this style when we get to them. But obviously we have Brunhild. So Brunhild on the front, we know what she does, Divinity 10, Judgments for 4. On the back, we've got this great flyer that also reanimates us. Any target resonator in our grave, so we can bring back an Ares, is primarily the main target, or even an heir to get back another thing. Just a lot of value that comes out of that. Going into the stone deck, we're playing 4 Magic Stone of Hope, Despair, 4 Magic Stone of Faith, so that our stuff doesn't get countered, and 2 Light Magic Stone. Now the Hope and Despair don't really do a ton in the main deck, but it's because of the side deck has things like Flourishing Hope and other things like that the Magic Stone of Despair comes into play. So then in the rune deck, we have Ring of Legend to instant speed save stuff, Blade of Faith as our master rune, Dispel to be able to gain a Grant of Life or pop an addition if we need to for 1, Sandstorm, and then following it up with Whispers of an Angel. So all ones that are very cheap and mostly instant speed to cast, primarily because we like Ares' effect of being able to pump stuff up, and March Hare to be able to easily be at rune 4. Same with Sorceress of the Moon. So, going into the main deck, 4 Sorceress of the Moon, 1 drop. When you hit to rune 2, it becomes a 6/6 flyer. That's really good. Angel of Hope, we can gain a lot of life in this deck, and when it switches over, having the additional removal that comes with being Angel of Despair when we invert it is very nice. And it's a flyer, so we can get Drain, we can get very large, we can get spot removal, and damage in for free in the early game because it's flying. So really nice card. 4 Messenger of the Sun, because we're playing a lot of runes, at least from the rune deck, and Blade of Faith. Honestly, I think you could probably cut this card down to 3 just because you don't necessarily need 4, but this was just the way that Josh decided to play it. I personally would rather play 4 March Hare of Valhalla. March Hare is a phenomenal card for these light decks that are very aggressive and have very easy quick cast runes, simply because it turns into a 4, eventually it turns into a 2-drop 9/9 with Drain, and then when you have Ares, it becomes 11/11, a 13/13. You can pump it up with Protection of the Angels. It's just a solid aggression card that also generates you life very quickly. Bethor, the Angel of Treasury, the Angel of Treasure. It's this classic white card, 2-drop 5/5 flying, and then it just replaces itself, so it helps keep the deck's momentum going as it continues to try to throw out all these small creatures. Playing a few heirs so that we can start again keeping that pressure up, keeping the board full of stuff. And then we have Ares, right? So Ares is great. He's this 4-drop 10/8, immediately produces 2 white and starts pumping up all your other white resonators just by himself. And then if he has 4 or more runes revealed, everything's suddenly getting an even bigger buff. So you have multiple of these on the field, suddenly creatures are getting super huge, plus he mostly pays for himself, and a lot of the stuff in this deck is 2-drop or less, so you can play Ares and another guy for 4, which is a lot of value, or Ares and 2 guys for 4, that's a lot of value too. Yeah, so just all in all, very solid utility card to kind of help push this deck further in terms of its ability to be aggressive. 3 Blade of Faith, because spot removal for 1 that RFGs is always great. Volley, because we're playing a lot of wide resonators, right? So it's very easy for this card for just 1 to do a ton of damage, especially since it also hits J-Res. This card is an absolute absolute boon to this deck in terms of its ability to chip through damage in response to blocks, disrupt your opponent's play lines during their turn, all kinds of stuff. Pretty standard for Protection of the Angels. Card is just super good, especially when you're using March Hare. Suddenly, you know, if you have the buff being up to a 9/9 and your Protection of the Angels, suddenly it's a 17/17 and you're gaining 17 life and killing something, and lots of cool stuff that comes out of it. And then also, as an interesting tech to be able to help keep things alive, as well as being able to chip through that last bit of damage once you flip, we have Life Stealing, Soul Stealing, Soul Returning Altar. So it helps our stuff in the early game, if we have Floating Will, being able to refill our hand continuously, which is great because the deck can run out of gas. And then when we flip it over, suddenly Resonators who have already attacked that turn, if we need to chip through for the rest of the damage, so say our Angels of Hope, Angels of Despair, have already swung through for the turn and we really need our March Hare to connect for lethal, well, we have Soul Returning Altar, so let's just sacrifice the Angels of Hope to kill the thing that's blocking the March Hare and then push through for damage. It is, again, that tempo style trick that this deck is using to kind of help finish the games off. So let me know what you guys think about this. I, for one, thought this deck was a ton of fun, and I hope you guys do too. I really enjoyed a lot of the light cards from this new set, but I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. As always, go ahead and leave those comments down below and like and subscribe. And until next time, this is DMO73 saying class dismissed.